Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Music Influence During the Roaring Twenties. In this episode, we will be talking about King Porter Stomp by Jelly Roll Morton from 1924. The only instrument used in this piece is piano, with a stomp played about 2/3 of the way in. The piece is monochromatic because only one instrument is playing. Forte is marked at the start of the piece, but the right hand is brought out more than the left hand, playing the bass part. The solo act with piano as the only instrument, with the stomp about 2/3 of the way through the piece. The stomp about 2/3 of the way piece does give help with the naming of the piece called King Porter Stomp. The piece has a medium volume with little dynamic change, if any at all. It's where you do have this forte at the beginning, a mezzo forte at the start of part A, and then a piano right here. So there's, in my opinion, just having the piano, the mezzo forte, and the forte really doesn't give that much dynamic contrast to a player, as yes, you are then going to be able to show lows and real highs, but there isn't that middle section to give it more contrast. The lowest part does change clefs occasionally, such as in the third measure, it changes to a treble clef because of the original treble clef being higher pitched, with the melody moving at higher ranges than usual. The harmony texture is polyphonic, as there are different parts sounding on the same instrument. Chord triads are being used from the A major scale, but with accidentals being added in. This piece is diatonic in the A flat major scale, but at letter C, it changes. C is right here. Changes to D flat major scale for the rest of the piece. Motion from one sonata to the next is unpredictable. A5 in 7th position chord to one chord is a full cadence 2 measures before the interlude before letter C. A few other cadences are played nearing this end of the section, such as at the measure before the repeat into 1 or 2 section is another. Into section 1 or 2. From there to either there or there is a dominant chord in the 7th position, going to a 1 chord, making a full cadence. Dominant 7ths are used in cadences resolving as expected into 1 chord. The piece is in 2 different major scales. Most chords are built around the major chords with a few accidentals thrown in. The piece does change, as said earlier, about halfway through, from A flat major to D flat major. The piano is the main melody. A lot of the movement is conjunct motion, with a few disjunct motion here and there. A large range of notes is used with both bass clef and treble clef played, and the main melody is played on the higher range of treble clef, with traveling along most of the treble clef, as shown with going from the highs to the lows here. This is just one example of it having a large range. The melody has a lot of direction changes horizontally, with a lot of notes going back and forth in the start and other parts of the piece, with just doing neighboring tone cadences, such as at the beginning of the melody, doing the C, D, C, B, natural, and C, then going to sets of chords. The melody is a diatonic major A flat, and about halfway through becomes diatonic D flat major. The piece is marked in cut time at the beginning of the piece, so a 4/4 time signature would fit this piece. But with the cut time, it doubles the speed, as well as gives it a predominant duple beat feel. The bass part of the piano is playing quarter notes throughout the piece with a few measure of half notes, where it gives the main rhythm to the piece as that would give it quarter and eighth notes with the cut time. This piece is played at a quick tempo. In the recording that I have selected from it, that I will link below, it is played definitely on the faster side than probably what was originally intended for the piece. But I want to say it also goes in with the cut time, giving it a faster feel for sure with having all note values. The piece is played polyatomic texture as the melody plays a different rhythm with incorporating more 16th note, triplets, and eighth notes than the bass part. The piece overlaps with rhythms. The piece has a swing effect as well. I believe it will. Yeah. The phrase length varies throughout the piece as some measures repeat similar rhythms but changes notes, others bring completely new ideas. The first section of the piece is played with a repeat sign after the repeat sign introduces a new section of the piece, with going from there, the end there, back up to the beginning. And then repeat to where you would repeat the section twice, or once, but then going into the new section there. The use of full cadences near the end of the section helps the listener understand the change in growth to a new section. The piece was originally written in 1905 in Storyville, New Orleans, but was recorded in 1923. The piece became popular in 1924. Jelly Roll Morton was known for his flashy suits and hats. His family is from France. His theory, told in Mr. Nick S.'s article, is to never discard the melody. Always have the melody going some kind of a way, and the background would be a perfect harmony known as riffs today. Jelly Morton claims to have single-handedly created jazz. In earlier episodes, we discussed another gentleman who was credited with also starting the Jazz Age. So, it's always up in the air who actually started the Jazz Age. Written with the idea that piano is a full orchestration, not just one instrument. The piece has been reorchestrated several times during the decade and to this day, to include more instrumentation. Mr. Morton did not reap many of the economic upturns of his music, as many of his ideas were stolen from him.